Okay, so I'm hoping that this will do what I want it to do. Anyway, so hello, you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day at home, staying warm. We're going to do just a little bit of basic factoring review today because it is something that is very important whenever you go to take that I-step really soon, and it's something that we just need to review. So we're going to do a little bit of this on your own so that when we come back, probably sometime next week, we can talk a little bit more in depth about what we use these quadratics for. So we're going to factor trinomials today in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. A is always the number in front of the x squared, b is always the number in front of the x, and c is always the last number that does not have an x on it at all. So both of these that you see on the left follow that form exactly. In this case, basic factoring applies to anything that does not have a number in front of the squared term, or it doesn't have a leading coefficient, or in other words, its leading coefficient is 1, so it becomes invisible and we can't see it. The hardest part about factoring, I think, that trips most people up are the signs, okay? So I kind of gave you a little cheat sheet over here to the right that will hopefully jog your memory. So to figure out your signs, you're always going to look at C. If C, or your last term, is positive, your signs will be the same, and they will be whatever the sign is in front of B. So I kind of broke it down in two cases for you if you look to the right in that yellow box. And then if C is negative, so if your last term is negative, then that means that your signs will be different. So one will be positive, one will be negative, and the only thing you have to be careful about in that case is where you put which number. You're always going to put the bigger number of your factors in front of the sign that corresponds to the sign in front of B. So in this case, if I were going to factor this out, since my last term is negative, I need a plus and a minus, but because B is positive, I'm going to put the bigger number out of my two factors behind the plus, okay, since that's a plus to begin with. All right, so let's actually get into some factoring. The basic factoring is pretty simple. I don't think you guys will have too many issues doing this. This is just a basic product and sum. So what we're looking for here is we're always going to set up our parentheses first. So I'm going to draw my parentheses, and then I need to take care of my squared term. So in order to get a g squared in front, if I were going to FOIL this back out, I would need a g and a g. Okay, now I'm going to take care of my signs before I do anything else. So because my last term is negative, I'm going to have to follow the second example in that yellow box off to the right, which I know you guys can't see at this point. But the second circumstance says that if my last term is negative, I'm going to have one of each sign. The reason for that is because if I were to FOIL this back out, the only way I'm going to get a negative here is if I have a positive and a negative. If they're both the same sign, I'm going to end up getting a positive sign on my last term. Okay, so I have one positive, one negative, and then what I need to do is I need to look for numbers that multiply to 14, but are going to subtract to give me 5. And